Hello students, I hope you must have gone through the last session's discussion regarding what are acids and bases. Let us recall the definition of acids. Acids are those substances which generate H plus ions in the aqueous state, while bases are all those substances which generate OH minus ions in the aqueous state. Let us take our discussion further today. Today we are going to learn about whether all hydrogen containing compounds are acids or not. We come across so many different examples of hydrogen containing compounds like glucose. It is C6H12O6. There are 12 atoms of hydrogen in it. Like alcohol, it is C2H5OH. There are 6 atoms of hydrogen in alcohol. Whereas when we compare it with hydrochloric acid, it has only one atom, or sulfuric acid H2SO4 has 2 atoms. So can we state whether all hydrogen containing compounds are acids or not? The second agenda or second learning objective for today is what are the conditions in which acidic character of an acid or basic character of a base is shown. So are there some special conditions or special situations where an acid will behave as an acid or a base will behave as a base? So what do we mean by showing acidic character or basic character? So showing acidic character means turning blue litmus paper red, and showing basic character means turning red litmus paper blue. So when does this color change for the indicator happen? What are the conditions for changing the color of an indicator? That we are going to learn today. And the last objective of learning today is what is the safest way to dilute an acid. As we discussed last time also, strong acids are very corrosive. They burn even if a single small drop falls on your skin. So when we convert a concentrated, which is very strong acid having a pH range of 0 to 2 to a dilute acid, what would be the safest way which does not hurt anyone? So before we start learning into all the major concepts of today, let us recall our basics. Matter is divided into pure and impure substances. Pure substances are made up of same kind of particles, and impure substances, also called as mixtures, are made up of different kind of particles. Mixtures in turn are divided into homogeneous and heterogeneous mixtures. We have learnt about mixtures in our grade 9. We are concentrating on pure substances which are further classified into elements and compounds. Elements are those substances which are made up of same kind of atoms like oxygen, like hydrogen, chlorine, fluorine, bromine. All of these are made up of same kind of atoms. Like when we say oxygen, it will have oxygen atoms only, or when we say chlorine, it will be made up of chlorine atoms only. Whereas compounds are all those substances where two or more than two elements are combined, basically are chemically combined in a fixed ratio. So when I say water, it is always H2O, where two atoms of hydrogen will combine with one atom of oxygen to form one molecule of water. Or when I say hydrochloric acid, it is HCl, where one atom of hydrogen and one atom of chlorine combine to form one molecule of HCl. So we are further studying about this category of the pure substances called as compounds. So let us talk about compounds now. Compounds are those substances in which two or more than two elements chemically combine in a fixed ratio. This chemical combination can happen in two ways. One way is to share the electrons between the elements. Hence, these compounds are called as covalent compounds. The other way is when metals give away their electrons forming cations and nonmetals accept those electrons forming negatively charged anions. The bond between them is called ionic bond, and such compounds are called ionic compounds. We are further learning about the ionic compounds in the form of acids, bases, and salts. So let us discuss about the ionic bond formation between the simplest compound, sodium chloride. When sodium atom donates its outermost electron, it is accepted by the chlorine atom in its outermost shell. So once the sodium has donated its electron, it becomes sodium ion. And chlorine atom changes to chloride ion, and there is ionic bond formed between the positively charged sodium and negatively charged chloride. These are in sodium chloride crystal. When we see the arrangement of these molecules, they are arranged together like positive and negatively charged ion, simply arranged side by side. So if we see one positively charged ion, it is surrounded by 4 negative chloride ions. Similarly, one negative ion is surrounded by 4 positive sodium ions. Hence, in any ionic compound, there is strong electrostatic forces of attraction between the positive and negative ions. But as soon as we mix in water, or we dissolve this ionic compound in water, or we melt them, the electrostatic forces of attraction which bind these positive and negative ions together are lost or become negligible, and these ions are free to move. This process is called as ionization, where the ions are free to move. Thus, we observe that when ionic compounds are in molten state or when they are dissolved in water, the ions are free to move. They can conduct electric current if we establish an electric circuit in it. So, for this experiment, when we take a beaker containing any solution of ionic compound and we put two electrodes and attach it with the circuit, the ionic compound can conduct electric current and the bulb starts glowing. So this experiment also proves whether all hydrogen containing compounds are acids or not. In first beaker, we have taken dilute HCl and we observe that the bulb glows. Whereas in the second beaker, the solution taken is glucose. Glucose is C6H12O6. It has 12 atoms of hydrogen, but we observe the bulb will not glow. The same thing happens with alcohol taken in the beaker or sugar solution taken in the beaker. In all these examples, hydrogen is present, but it will not ionize and hence the bulb will not glow. So what is the difference between dilute HCl, which can conduct electric current and it is seen in the form of bulb glowing, and glucose solution? Although it contains hydrogen, but hydrogen does not ionize and bulb does not glow. Dilute HCl has the capacity to ionize and release H plus ions, whereas glucose has hydrogen which is covalently bonded. It cannot come out in the form of ions. Hence, substances like glucose or alcohol or sugar solution, they although contain hydrogen in them, but they cannot be classified into acids. In today's class task, I have further given one more video for understanding of this particular concept. So the electrical conductivity of the compounds proves whether it is acid or not. Since compounds like glucose and alcohol have hydrogen atom in them, but it is covalently bonded, it cannot ionize to release H plus ions. Hence, they are not acids, although they contain hydrogen in them. Acids in the solution state ionize to release H plus ions, hence they can conduct electric current and are acidic. Let us now understand the conditions required to show the acidic character. This experimental setup over here shows how the HCl gas will show its acidic character. We have taken sodium chloride, dry sodium chloride in the test tube, and we are adding concentrated sulfuric acid. When sodium chloride reacts with sulfuric acid, it forms sodium sulfate and hydrogen chloride gas or HCl gas. When this HCl gas is allowed to pass on litmus paper, first in the dry state, the color does not change. But then we put a drop of water on the litmus paper and we observe that this HCl gas changes the color of the blue litmus paper red. So the difference between the litmus paper is dry and moist. What does moisture do to the HCl gas or HCl molecules? The separation of H plus ions from HCl molecules cannot occur in the absence of water. Hence, we see that presence of water or presence of moisture is essential for the dissociation of ions. Acids will ionize to release H plus ions only in the presence of water. Hydrogen ions cannot exist alone, but they exist after combining with water molecules. Thus, hydrogen ions must always be shown as H plus in the bracket AQ or hydronium ions, that is H3O plus. Bases also will generate hydroxide ions in the presence of water. Bases which are soluble in water are called as alkali. If you remember our discussion about strong and weak acids in the last session, you will be more clear about the concept now. On the basis of strength, we divide or we classify the acids into strong acids and weak acids. Strong acids are those which ionize completely. That means when we take 100 ml of HCl or H2SO4 or HNO3, all these being strong acids, all the molecules of 100 ml of the acid will ionize to release maximum amount of H plus ions. Hence, since they have maximum number of H plus ions, they will have lower pH value. On the other hand, weak acids, if we take 100 ml of any weak acid, not all the molecules will dissociate to release H plus ions. Thus, weak acids will generate less number of H plus ions and their pH value will be higher. So the relation between hydrogen ion concentration and pH value is opposite, or they are inversely proportional to each other. What is the safest way to dilute a concentrated acid? Before we discuss this, we should be clear with what is a concentrated acid and what is a dilute acid. Same like a concentrated solution which contains a large amount of solute per liter of a solution. For example, a strong coffee, we can say that when a particular acid has large amount of acid per liter of solution, it is concentrated. A dilute solution contains a small amount of solute per liter of solution, like a very weak coffee. Similarly, a dilute acid contains small amount of acid per liter of solution. A concentrated acid will have many molecules of acid in per liter of the solution, whereas in dilute acid there would be very less amount of acid per liter of solution. We can convert a concentrated acid to a dilute acid. Now, this is the way shown over here. If you see, we have taken a beaker containing acid and we are adding drop by drop water into it. So, what will happen? Yes, it will lead to a big explosion, a big splash, and maybe some acid can fall on your face or your eyes and you can get damaged. So surely this is not the safest way to convert a concentrated acid to a dilute acid. Why does this happen? This happens because dilution of a concentrated acid is highly exothermic process. So when we add water to the acid, it releases lot of heat leading to splashing of the acid and maybe breaking of the glassware too. This is the correct way to dilute a concentrated acid, where we take large volume of water and very slowly with constant stirring we add acid into the water. Adding small amount of acid to the water with continuous stirring will cause the heat to dissipate. The large volume of water will absorb the heat produced, hence making it the safest way which will not lead to any accident. After seeing this video, please complete the class task. In the class task also I have given YouTube links for further understanding of the three concepts that we have learned today. Thank you and have a nice day.